How's it going, everybody? I'm Blue Spy, and today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Battlefront. Star Wars Battlefront, for me as a kid growing up, was one of a ton of different Star Wars games around at the time. I had started off knowing of the original trilogy, but by the time I had seen Phantom Menace, I hadn't even watched Return of the Jedi and had just found out it existed. So a lot of Star Wars was still new to me, and my first experience when me and my brother first loaded into the Spire map on Geonosis was just, I was amazed. And to relive big battles like Hoth, the Battle of Geonosis, to play on iconic maps like Mustafar, it was like a dream come true. To play as heroes like Obi-Wan Kenobi and my personal favorite, Jango Fett, in a way that only one other game had done for me, at least in the case of Jango Fett, which is Star Wars Bounty Hunter. It was just amazing to see the huge cast of characters gathered all together, and not only were they a part of the game itself, but you got to actively participate in massive battles that you could only see snippets of on screen. Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out not long after, and just this sheer massive scale of the space battles was just absolutely breathtaking. The fact that me and my brother could hop in to a ship, destroy parts of a capital ship on the outside, and then at our leisure, fly into the hangar, take over the enemy's own ship, and blow it up from the inside too, that just granted a whole level of freedom that was any kid's dream back then. Moving on to the era of EA and their Battlefront, I mean, growing up, I didn't think that there was anything that could top Star Wars Battlefront 2.
R2, where are you? Hey, over here! R2-D2, get over here at once. This is no time for your foolishness. Follow you? Why should I do that? Bucket of bolts. How dare you call me that? I should have you deactivated. Fine.
When EA Star Wars Battlefront 2015 came out, it was like a whole nother dimension to what I'd already enjoyed as a kid. Racing through Endor on a speeder bike, or reenacting the Battle of Hoth that I'd lived out in the original Battlefronts, and even as far back as Shadows of the Empire on the Nintendo 64. It was just a breath of fresh air, and I had nowhere to look but up. I thought that it couldn't get any better than this. They couldn't top this. It was strange at the time because I didn't really recognize how multiplayer driven it was compared to the originals. That didn't come until much later with Battlefront 2017, but we'll get into that. The flying and the starfighter modes really grabbed my attention as well. I love to fly. I love to be the air support, the battle taxi, and Battlefield and GTA, any game that let me fly. I was always really attracted to that kind of play style, and to see how accurate it was to the movies, and to live out things that you could not even see in the movies, it really made you feel like an active part of the Star Wars universe. The fact that Star Wars Battlefront 2015, EA's first rendition, went as far as to add in countless levels to enjoy starfighters. By the end, they even had the Death Star, to where you could relive the trench run. The on-the-ground gameplay was just second to none, and the player model customization, sure, there's a lot that any player could look at and say, I wanted to add more to this. There was no prequel trilogy content, and obviously, since it didn't exist yet, there was no sequel trilogy content. They did add in Rogue One and Scarif, which was really enjoyable, and even specialty game modes to go with these DLC maps with the Season Pass, which was unique and offered fresh gameplay. When Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out, things decided to take a turn, I guess, in development. Gone was the Season Pass of 2015, and we all are, I'm sure, very familiar, if you're watching this video, with the controversy that EA instigated, the random rewards and the pay-to-play model that Star Wars Battlefront 2 started out with. This system was also implemented with major characters some of which got added later, some of which will apparently never be added now, with the game shutting down. Without these main characters at launch, it left them a lot of room to add in extra monetization, possibly even more customization, but it left the player base feeling like there was something lacking. And obviously, voices were raised, and a massively downvoted comment in Reddit, the biggest in history, caused EA to change their mind and completely revamp the progression system and the pay-to-play system, setting them back at least a couple of months in development to try and play catch-up with the system that they would no longer be using and the entire game was still based around. While this game did add in sequel trilogy characters like Rey and Kylo, it still felt lacking in the eyes of a lot of fans just because of the simple fact almost every single update included some sort of bug fix or some sort of addition to the hero gameplay. By the end of its lifespan, Star Wars Battlefront 2 added 4 new weapons. Now you compare that to the fact that Battlefront 2015 had a ridiculous amount to choose from, with all sorts of strategies involved around them. That's just one segment of what has held this game down. Obviously, there's a severe lacking in starfighter gameplay and flying and vehicles in general. Baseline vehicles that were in the originals had to be added later, and even then, the variety is lacking by comparison. One thing they did get right, though, that I've been waiting for since the first time I watched Attack of the Clones, was Boba Fett's Slave One and the addition of seismic charges, which the 2015 version of Slave One did not have. This is a weapon and a sound that I cannot get enough of. I can most certainly say it's one of my favorite parts of 2017.
Another one down.
Hearing that sound every single time makes the 12-year-old me squeal like a little squeaker. Now, as you can see by the gameplay I've shown, these are 4 very distinct games, all with their own pros and cons, and between the 4 of them, it honestly offers a lot of variety. Unfortunately, that leaves us to where we're at now, which is Star Wars Battlefront's forums being shut down on EA's website, development, at least big releases like the latest Scarif update, will no longer be continuing. A majority of the hero abilities and cards in 2017 left bugged, and a whole bunch of questions of what it could have been. I could spend this time getting into a whole discussion on the proper ways of using monetization, but that's probably best for a video on its own. So I'll sum it up to the consumer enjoys the ability to purchase and know what they're getting when they purchase it. Games like GTA, Warframe, Fortnite, and plenty of others out there give you the ability to spend in-game and know exactly what you're getting. Random loot and random rewards, especially paid random rewards, are a recipe for disaster, and this game is proof of that. On a more positive note, one of my fellow forum users has set up a petition for EA to continue development and more paid DLC similar to 2015's Season Pass. I'll provide a link for that in the description. It's absolutely amazing to see how dedicated fans can be and how supportive and forgiving they can be. Even with EA's issues, the fact that people out there are still fighting for good Star Wars content and willing to pay them for it tells you a lot. Unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, the forums will be shut down, and there are Discord servers that'll continue on in spirit what the forum started, but a lot of good ideas are being deleted away. EA has decided not to archive them, and there are massive databases of ideas in there. For example, the Starfighter Assault forum thread alone hosts thousands upon thousands of views, tons of comments of ideas. Meanwhile, every single update catered in some form or another to hero gameplay, whether through bug fixes, which still did not in the end fix the gameplay, or adding new skins, or adding new heroes in general that should have been there at launch, including several others that never ended up there. In the end, none of these games are perfect, and they all have things that they're missing, whether it's how much they've aged, their quality of work, but it leaves a little bit for each fan to enjoy. Hopefully from this video you've gotten a sense of each one of these games. Let me know in the comments section below which one's your favorite, and more importantly, what is your favorite part of Star Wars Battlefront as a series? What made your little 12-year-old self squeal like a squeaker? I've already mentioned the Republic gunship and being a battle taxi, and Slave One's seismic charges. I'd love to hear y'all's down below. Thanks for watching.